Okay, welcome to APS 1012. This is just a brief introduction to the Management of Innovation course. Give you a brief history of the course. The course started 5 years ago, 2010. Has been very, very successful. The course runs in different modes. It runs in online 100%. It's also in class as well, and also a hybrid between in-class and online, and also a 10-day intense version when it's run over 10 days. So the 12 modules are condensed into 10 days. So let me just give you some data that give you an insight into the course. So again, the course APS 1012, Management of Innovation. It started in 2010. Since then, we have run about, the course is basically, I use a concept of self-directed learning. So it's self-directed learning, where the students are expected basically to direct themselves, and my job is to facilitate the learning process. I use the team-based approach, so approximately 30% of the marks are gained by working in teams. So far, we've had over 100 project teams doing semi-research work. Now, it's only over 3.5 months, so you can't do fundamental research, but researching topics in just about every area of innovation you could imagine, from all the different industry sectors, from aerospace, from outer space, from civilian aircraft to military aircraft, from pharmaceuticals to food companies, to how government works, to what makes a nation innovative, to contrasting innovation in nations, to wearable electronics, and so on. So it covers just about any area you can imagine of enterprise on the planet. A lot of the themes, the recent themes over the past couple of years, have been on sustainability in energy systems, solar energy, geothermal energy, and so on. So the projects themselves, the teams themselves form into teams, usually teams of about 4 to 5. Then they choose a topic, and often the class is anywhere from 25 students, can sometimes be up to 50. And therefore, you could have anywhere from 5 or 6 teams up to 15 teams, maybe 20 teams at the very, very most. And that would typically be if there was an online or in-class version. If it's the 10-day version, we're limited to approximately 30 students for a 10-day in-class version, which is very much hands-on activity in the class. The seminars are in the mornings from 9 till noon. They're 3-hour sessions, and then you work pretty much the rest of the day on the module, because we're concentrating 12 weeks to 13 weeks worth of work into 10 days. There are videos that support the course. So each module, there's 12 modules, so there's an overarching master video, so there's 12 videos. But they're supported by another maybe 24 to 26 specialty videos. So a specialty video could be, for example, one of my case studies. It could be working at Lockheed Martin, or it could be at Boeing de Havilland, or Bombardier, or it could be working at the Globe and Mail or the Winnipeg Press, Gay-Lee Foods. There's just so many various companies that I have basically run major innovation projects over the last 25 years. So I create specialty videos, usually on the techniques that I've used on innovation projects. Now, there are basically also about 100 academic papers that you can access, so academic papers, and a further 60 books by famous academics from around the world who've written books on innovation. I mean, innovation is a very, very broad topic. One thing I will say from the very, very start, many students come into the course thinking that innovation is research and development, and you will learn in Module 3 about the diffusion of innovation, how innovation ideas get diffused from the mind through to society and get used. You'll find the concept of an S-curve. And an S-curve, basically R&D is down here. Now, in pharmaceuticals, that can take 10 years. And some fundamental research can take 15, 20, 30 years, etc. But innovation really starts, you know, it starts here, of course, R&D. But R&D, I would say R&D represents about 5% of the innovation life cycle, of the innovation activity. The real innovation starts once the idea gets proven and tested, where it's feasible for commercialization. Then the commercialization process, this is where the money's made. This is where you start to prove the process, to build the products, etc., make them better, make the processes better, make the quality better, create more features, and then more S-curves where you're improving the products themselves incrementally, or you're dramatically improving the processes by which you make the products or deliver the products or your services to the customer. So then you might also have some kind of breakthrough technology, disruptive technology, that renders this phase of the technology, it obliterates it, it makes it redundant, and a new technology, and we've seen that in the computer industry every few years, some new MP3 player or iBook and all the iPods and so on and so forth, they all supersede one another, and that's through the fundamental product technology. But it can also be process technology, and one of the most famous process technology innovation is the Henry Ford production line for mass production of cars and automobiles, and making variety of automobiles, the Ford products, from making them in black to making multiple varieties of those from the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. So innovation, it covers many, many areas of process innovation, product innovation, business model innovation, and service innovation. Now, again, the videos are there and also supported with academic papers. Obviously, you do not have to watch all 30 or 40 videos. You do not have to read all 100 academic papers. It would be impossible. But you get to choose the pieces that you're actually interested in, to drill down into, to engage in discussions either in the class or online, or also to write your critical review papers. There's maybe 2 or 3 papers that you have to write. So let's just look at the content of the course. And this is just a quick overview. So there are 12 modules, 4 themes. So here's the themes, just to give you a quick heads up of the themes. Theme number 1 is to put innovation in context. What is innovation? So you have disruptive innovation, which disrupts the actual marketplace and the products. You have incremental, which the marketplace stays the same, but the products themselves get improved incrementally to capture another piece of the marketplace. You're not obliterating a marketplace. In other words, you're not making other products redundant, but through incremental innovation, you're capturing more of the marketplace. You can also have incremental process innovation, by which you produce the products faster, more efficient, less cost, better quality. That captures the marketplace as well. So we put innovation in context. What is it? And there are various types of innovation. There's transformational innovation when it comes to organizational change. You will hear about business transformation. And I have an extreme amount of experience in this, where you're actually transforming a company, but and how it actually designs its products, builds its products, supports the products in the field. So that's theme number 1. So there's 3 modules to that. Theme number 2 talks about how do you design and engineer an innovative enterprise. Now, this course has been designed by an engineer for engineers. And right from the very beginning, I'll tell you that engineering, to me, I mean, I studied mechanical engineering, specialized in manufacturing with some industrial engineering and aeronautical engineering. But I used engineering basically in my management work. So I went into management probably by the age of 26. And from then on, it's right into the sort of strategic and senior level management and managing change. And I've used my engineering as capabilities and competencies from conceptual design all the way through to actually implementation. So I see engineering as a way of thinking and a way of being, as opposed to it being a mechanical engineering or civil or electrical or electronic or computer engineering. Those are the sort of engineering science disciplines. But I'm using engineering to manage change, to manage innovation, because innovation is coupled with change. You cannot innovate if you cannot manage change, and you cannot adapt to change at the personal level, the team level, the departmental level, the corporation, the enterprise level, and at the national level, and at the global level. It's all about managing change. So how do you design an innovative enterprise? In other words, how do you create the organizational structure? How do you have the right people, the right leadership capabilities, the right project management systems and processes, the right creativity, the culture that fosters creativity, and so on? Then you have to design the innovation process. So you have the enterprise, and then you have to design an innovation process. And in engineering type companies, it's called new product development, or the product development process. So that itself, there are many, many types. There's the stage gate process, the phase milestone process, which they use in the aerospace industry. Stage gate is used in food production. It's used in commercial goods, consumer goods, stuff like that. So you'll be taught how to design the innovation process and also to deploy it. Actually, how do you implement it? Because you're going to disrupt the status quo in companies, how they design their products and build them now. If you're going to change them by developing a new innovation process, that itself requires innovative techniques to get the people to adapt. And then the fourth theme is sustaining innovation. So how do you sustain it? Now, the Japanese, led by Americans from the 1970s and 80s, Dr. Deming, the quality management, and Dr. Juran, the quality management movement of the 1960s and 70s, which the Japanese embraced, they called this the concept of continuous improvement, Kaizen, etc. But that philosophy and that thinking was focused more on the shop floor in the production, particularly in Toyota, in the cars, which has now morphed into lean manufacturing, lean product development. But when I talk about sustaining innovation, I'm talking about, okay, so you have lean product development, you have lean manufacturing, you have lean services to your customers, but how do you sustain a culture? How do you get the actual people, win the hearts and minds to constantly be innovative year after year after year? If the culture itself is not innovative and it doesn't have the right leadership to foster a culture of innovation, the company itself will go through that life cycle we talked about. It'll decline. And the idea is, of course, to keep that culture, keep it alive, to be creative and inspire the people and bring more young people in, keep feeding the innovation channel, the innovation process to maintain the culture. So these are all the sort of themes and stuff that you'll learn in the class. Now, what's the output of this course? At the end of it, what are we trying to achieve? What am I trying to achieve with the students that come in? So most of the students are MEng, Masters of Applied Science, and maybe 10% or 15 are PhD students who are looking to get, whose careers want to take them into research, but they know if they actually want to do some commercialization of their ideas and their research, this is the kind of course you have to take. You have to know how to deal with enterprises who might build their products and so on. So we get them from the practitioners to the researchers and sometime in between, you know, the MASC. So the output of this course, I'll just give it in a nutshell, it's to create higher order thinking among engineers. One of the complaints of industry is that engineers today, in the last 20, 30 years, are far too immersed in engineering science. The subjects have become so mathematical, so scientific, and most of the theory that's learned in many of the courses in the second, third, fourth years are never used from an applied point of view. You may use them if you do some research, but if you go into industry, etc., the odds of using any of those theories and all that are very remote. It's important that you go through the engineering sciences, but maybe we've gone too far. Maybe having an engineering degree which is 90% science and 10% application, maybe that the argument is, and I would argue that it's gone far too far. We probably should have more of a 60-40 split. But this course is trying in a small way to bridge that gap to create higher order thinking. So the thinking is to go from pure engineering science thinking into practice. There's another course as well, APS 1013, which is the applied course. So you take this course, then you take the applied course, and you work with outside industry, companies like Siemens, Messier Dowdy, Bombardier, Hatch. There are many, many companies that we have formed relationships with, Pratt & Whitney and so on. So APS is the applied version of this course. We actually use it to do real work in companies over a 3.5-month period. So we want to get our minds to go from engineering science type thinking into practice, but more importantly, strategic thinking. So to think strategically about your company, especially if you're going to go into higher levels of management, or even if you don't go into management, if you stay as an engineer in the CAD system or in research or in design or in product development or manufacturing engineering, it still behoves you to understand how the senior management are thinking, where the company direction is, and at least you will see where you fit in the hierarchy to that strategic thinking so that you can survive in terms of where the company's long-term strategy is going. So just to wrap up, from a higher order thinking, from bottom to top, if you think about it, when we go to school, we're taught to remember equations and formula. Next thing, we're taught to understand how to apply them. We understand the theory, and then we hopefully get to apply them. But the next level up is learning to evaluate, is learning to actually say, does this theory, is it actually applicable in this particular situation? So you get to evaluate your design, you get to evaluate how the companies perform, you get to evaluate how your products perform. Often we call this critical thinking. You know, we hear all about this critical thinking, and you will get a lot of critical thinking and critical writing. You'll be able to practice critical thinking and critical writing in this course, both as individuals and on the project. So what we're trying to foster here more is the creativity. We're trying to get creative thinking. So we're going from remembering, this is the hierarchy of the thought process, into creativity where you're actually design thinking. So you'll learn design thinking. Evaluation as well, you'll learn systems thinking. So these are all critical skills. Just go on the internet and put in the 10 most critical skills you need to work in the 21st century. You'll hear these things like design thinking, strategic thinking, critical thinking, systems thinking, teamwork, and so on. And that's what this course is about. And at the very top, I'll say inventive thinking. We are actually, and I'm just inventing that myself, but it's actually where you're actually truly stepping out of the box and creating something that's never been there before. So I'm thinking that creative thinking can happen within the current domains that you're working within in the corporation, but inventive thinking would be more like a Steve Jobs and what he did with the Apple computer. And there are very few people around that really do come up with ideas that change the world. But there are many books, history of ideas. So this is all about ideas that you can actually apply through that S-curve, and we explore that as well in the course. And we get, there are case studies on these subjects. So this gives you an overview of APS 1012. I'm looking forward to working with you on the course. It's delightful year after year. I never tire from the great students that come into this course, and I hope you get a lot out of it. And thank you very much.